What's up, prospects? It's No Doubt. Hey, I just logged online and I went to the Steam community and I saw that the patch notes for the 1.06 patch are already out. They just updated it, and I just wanted to go over them with you so you don't have to go and look for them yourself, alright? Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to drop tonight, tomorrow, but this is something to keep in mind because there are a lot of changes that everyone needs to be paying attention to, regardless if you're a Windfall user, Cult user, Forsaken user, or a Drunken Fist user. So pay attention. This is very important to what's about to change in the game within this next week. So the first thing we're going to go over is the updating of the special abilities. Most importantly, the special abilities that you pull off successfully. Alright, so the first one is Absorb. Now, Absorb was not easy to use and required you to have very fast attacks in order to quickly regain the damage that you had taken. With the increase of ghost damage refill speed and the protection bonus, we think that this style will be easier to use without fast attacks and corresponds more to the original fantasy of the style. Also, it'll be less frustrating when you get hit after several successful absorbs. Now, because of these buffs, we had to lower its stamina bonus. Next up is Avoid. Now, Avoid was considered below the parry because 4 inputs to choose instead of just 2. And the worst reward, they only had 4/10 of a second of a slowdown instead of 6/10 of a second with the parry freeze. The fact is that a lot of attacks, there are 3 valid choices. For high thrust attacks, they can be avoided using either left, right, or down, for instance. Now, it also has a very small recovery compared to the parry, and it stops the tracking of the opponent's attack. But it's true that against attacks with very small recovery, the Avoid doesn't give enough time to counterattack. So we decided to give another kind of reward. It now inflicts a stamina malice on the avoided character, and also has a great stamina bonus. In short, Windfall is now the best style for stamina management and to exhaust your opponent. Next is the parry ability. Parry has a high risk, high reward mechanic. We think that the reward to connect a medium to strong attack is enough, so we decided to decrease its stamina bonus. And finally, we have the stagger style. Stagger side attacks were spammable. By decreasing the range of these attacks, they've become more defensive than offensive. Now, the next section is about attacks. We've seen a lot of comments about the spam goldling, quote unquote. The overall idea was always to make the guard stronger than the fast attacks. We want someone who uses only fast attacks to exhaust himself or herself against the guard of their opponent. On the other side, we don't want the players to stay in guard against breaking attacks. Now, the next update covers the 1v1 section of the game in PvP. We feel that it's more fair to evenly have a ratio of health regeneration at the beginning of the round. Meaning, if you start a round with a small amount of health and your opponent has full life, he will not have a good health refill if he kills you, but if you manage to kill him, you'll get back a very fair amount of health back, which is fair. Next, the item that has been upsetting the whole community, specifically on boards where you can fall off, the changes to ShockWave. What we want with these modifications to ShockWave is less ShockWave spam, less offensive ShockWave to push you out of the ring, but to keep the defensive ShockWave and to add a tactical use of the following boosts of stamina. Now, there are some other changes in this patch that I definitely didn't want to leave out, and I very much feel that they're just as important as updating the defensive abilities and the changes to those mechanics as well. The heavy characters did not have enough drawbacks. The dodge was too much punished by horizontal attacks. With better invincible frames, it's now easier to dodge attacks, but the dodge also has a very high stamina cost as well, so keep that in mind. Lastly, you'll also be able to keep your shards after death. It gives more strategic options in 1v1 and allows you to use high cost power weapons and items a little bit more often. And the last but not least, the changes to the maps. They have decreased the maximum number of enemy AIs per zone, improved some enemy AI's detection range, fixed navigation issue in the Eurasian Quarter zone, and regarding the maps in 1v1, they have fixed the out of bounds issue in the Adalian Columbary Arena, and last but not least, the most important, the one that triggers everyone whenever I run into them, the cross arena. There is no more central ledge, meaning there is no more donut hole in the middle of the map. So you'll have a little bit, actually not a little bit, you'll have a lot more room to work when you actually have to run into that map. The only other thing that I would love for them to patch, but whenever they get to it, is the library map. I think it needs a little bit of a wider staircase and just a little bit of like an elevation ledge right before you fall over. If my back is to the ledge and my player becomes elevated, then if I'm not paying attention, maybe that would help me notice that I'm right next to the edge or ledge, and you know that would solve a lot of the issues for a lot of people regarding ledge maps. So all in all, these are some very welcome patch notes. I'm excited. Another thing to keep in mind is with all these changes, this means that everything you know about the game is about to change. So be mindful that you are going to have to go right back into your combat deck and change a lot of things, tweak a couple things, and feel the game out from people using the new exploits from the updates. So that's all I got for y'all today. I'm very excited to have this update. Hopefully it solves the last bit of lag and rubber banding issues online. But other than that, I'm about to enjoy the rest of my day. I wish you all the same. Stay woke, prospects. I'll see you out there.